Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 305. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me ALS. It is June 26th. We're actually recording on Sunday.
We are.
Woo! Which is the day we always aim for recording, but usually one or the other of us is lazy and puts it off. So,
That's true.
Laura's lovely, fluffy companion is joining us as well.
He's being such a jerk, Like he was just sitting in my lap, and that's why I let him be in here, and now he's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, you. But anyway, would you like me to go first?
If you don't mind, yes.
I do not mind at all, even though I just started a row. So, I am magic loop knitting a pair of socks out of Desert Vista Dye Works in the DVD logo colorway. This is actually the color of her logo. So it has a gold, an orange, a burnt red, a light blue, and a denim blue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stripes that repeat. The 5 stripes are around 2 inches altogether, maybe 2.5 inches. So, what I did is I started them at the toe up. I started them yesterday in the car on my way to a yarn shop in Oxford and got a couple repeats done. And then this afternoon and morning, I knit up some more, did a fish lips kiss heel, just because I find that heel a very quick heel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a short row heel. The pattern costs $1, but it's a short row heel that goes very quickly. And it seems to fit really. It's the best fitting of all the short row heels that I've tried. Although the garter short row heel tends to fit me really well as well, of short row heels. And then I am just working my way up. I'm hoping to finish this first one tonight. They are due by the end of the month. So I've been making some good progress. I have, 7 skeins of Desert Vista Dye Works left, but I have 2 on order, so.
Yeah, I have a couple on order too.
Yeah.
And then she picked my colorway for. I'm totally invading your.
Go, you go.
But she picked my colorway. She does. So every month she has a prompt where you can suggest colorways, and usually it's accompanied by a photograph, or in this case she wanted you to suggest science fiction or fantasy books, and then put in a picture of the cover.
So there's a theme of a book. Mm-hmm. There was romance, and in February there was children's books. In March, female protagonists, male protagonists, and then this one was fantasy sci-fi.
Yes, and
Leslie won because I reminded her to enter.
Totally, I wouldn't have even thought of it if Laura didn't text me. But yeah, so she told me I should go because we both read a lot. If you're new to the podcast, you'll find that out. And so I suggest I'm pretty surprised she actually picked mine because one of my suggestion that won was the Lightning Struck Heart, which we've mentioned several times in the past couple of months. But I was surprised she picked it because it's moderately explicit in some areas.
Yes.
And it's a male-male romance, and it's just sort of a little off the beaten track, so I was surprised. But because she picked my suggestion, I get a free skein of yarn. Yay! Yeah.
Did you email her your address so
yes.
you get that free skein of yarn?
I totally did.
Wonderful. So that is living in a Bling Your String bag. That was an SSK.
It's pretty. Like stained glass butterflies.
Yes. It's got dragonflies, actually.
Dragonflies, yeah, you're right.
But really, really fun. Yeah, words, they are so hard. So, and Humberto's been enjoying it because it's got stitch markers on the zipper pull. Mm-hmm. And so he's been trying to eat them all day long because he's helpful like that. The other thing, because I only have 2 things that are actively being worked on the needles, I'm not going to lie and say I only have 2 things on the needles, is by Tin Can Knits, the I Heart Rainbows sweater. I'm doing this in the 6-month size, 0 to 6 month size. I did make it a little bit longer, so it might last a little longer. It's got this really cool gusset detail with 3 buttons at the top, and I did buy buttons. I bought little heart buttons for it.
Aww.
So the first sleeve is done.
That's so sweet. It makes my teeth ache.
Isn't it cute? And so I just need to get the second sleeve done. I've been weaving in 5 ends a day. So it's a total of around 40 ends, and I only have a few left to weave in. So that also makes me super happy. It is out of Loopy U Solid series, and which is their in-house store yard. It's okay. And then Loopy U Paint Box Kit, which is this little kit that's got all these mini skating colors in it. And I got the summer one. It's 450 yards total, but there's like 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 different colors in there, like 50 yards of 9 different colors. So
That's
it was
really
perfect
cool
for
because
this.
it's the same base. That way, when you're done, you can just weigh the sweater and you'll know exactly how many yards you used. Well,
Yep.
roughly.
And I thought that this would be good because I'm going to use over 450 yards in this because these ones are 220 each, so that would be 440, and I only have this much left of the second one, and a sleeve left to do. So I'll be over 450 yards for sure with all the color work.
Yeah.
And the Camp Loopy is 400 yards, but I don't know if I'm going to continue with Camp Loopy or not. I haven't decided yet.
When is the next time that you order?
I've already ordered for next month, and I bought enough Volmiza DK to do a good ale with
Yeah.
sweater because it's only 800 yards
Yeah.
of its DK, and I figure I could bust that out pretty quickly in the month that we have SSK.
Yeah, totally. No problem.
Totally.
And you have another work trip.
Yeah, but anyway, it can go with me on the work trip, so if I want it to. So this is almost done, and the baby's not due until October, so I've got some time. And my friend who's having the baby, I could not remember what I gave her for her oldest child. And we were talking the other day, and I was like, oh, what kinds of baby things do you want people, like, do you have a prioritized list that you would like people to knit for you? Because she's very knit worthy. And number 1 was blankets, and number 2 is hats, and then sweaters. And she was very upset because they had misplaced the hat that I knit for her older child out of hand spun, which happens because kids lose stuff all the time. And so
adults lose stuff too sometimes.
I do too. I've lost hand knits before. I'm not even gonna lie about that. It's a good thing. Well, I've lost multiple hand knits before. It's a good thing that we can always knit more. But then she reminded me that I had knit her pushing socks out of another crafty girl in the Squirtle color, like so socks that she could wear while she was in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
But she thought it was
pushing. Is that a pattern?
No.
Sorry.
Socks to wear while she's actually pushing.
Yes.
And I knit them out of the Squirtle colorway, and she's like, it was funny and ironic at the same time.
That is funny, dude. That is hilarious.
So how can I beat that? I don't know.
We should ask the viewers for suggestions for other
colorways.
Hilariously funny colorways that might have something that could be construed as relating to a birth. We should get some hilarious entries. I am so stoked about that.
That'll be good. So, she's gonna get socks too. I just haven't decided what yarn to knit them out of. And then she's gonna get a ton of other stuff too because she's very knit worthy.
Yeah, I need to get a couple things on the needles for the baby.
Yes. I love baby knits. They go so fast, especially when you're knitting them out of fingering weight yarn.
Yeah. No.
In color work. But it's been fun. I actually really enjoy the pattern, and you go up a needle size for the color work, so knitting the rest of it on size 1.5 needles doesn't seem so terrible. But it'll give me some good yardage for Stash Dash. My Stash Dash yardage has not changed because that's all I got. I haven't finished any spinning, and I haven't finished any knitting this week. But I have been spinning a ton, and I'll show that to y'all in a little bit. So for a while, it'll be the Leslie show.
Yeah, but then, like, in a week, you'll have, like, bam, 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 like,
well, I'll
several
have,
things.
hopefully, these socks done and that sweater done, for sure.
Yeah, because those have deadlines this week, right?
Yeah, those have a...
I mean, it's not like
6. Yeah,
you're gonna come, somebody's gonna arrest you if you don't get them done, but...
No, I'm gonna prioritize the DVD socks, and the spinning actually has a deadline of this week, too, for my Owl 50%, but if I don't hit the 50%, I can always hit the 100%. And still get credit for it. So I'm trying to, like, not stress myself out about it, even though I totally am.
Happens.
So this has been a very stressful week of Like, usually my knitting and spinning does not cause me stress. It's what mellows me out. But this week it's been high stress. So it'll
Yeah.
get better.
You put a lot on yourself in the summer, so
I do because I'm like, oh, I think it's because I'm like, oh, I'm not working. I should be able to knit a sweater a day in
yeah,
my head, which is totally crazy
yeah.
pants. Like, no one can knit it. Or like, I should be able to knit a sock in a day. No, no, I should not. And my
No,
Fitbit is yelling at me like, you got 900 steps today, lady.
I can
Perhaps we
I
should
can
get up and move
sympathize with
some
that.
more. Because I have a very small house, so it doesn't matter that I have to go to the kitchen 800 times. It's like 5 steps
Yeah.
per time. Whatever.
So I have a couple of works in progress. Only one of them is so full of ends and stuff that it frustrates me a little bit. But so I finished a project which I'll show you in just a little bit. But the first thing is something you've seen before, and it is living in my pig
Pig
bag.
bag.
This is something that my friend Teresa gave me, and it makes me laugh every time I see it, so that makes me happy. So this is the Even Flow sweater, which is one of Joji Locatelli's sweaters, and it looks like that. So it's got a textured back, a simple stockinette front edge, and then simple stockinette sleeves.
And it's got pockets, too.
Yeah, it does have pockets. And now I'm at my least favorite part of the sweater, which is why it sat for a couple weeks, and that is the sleeve. And the reason that I hate sleeves, number one, because I hate alternating with such a small circumference.
Yeah.
And then I hate that I have to, there's no good way for it to just sort of sit in your lap. You're constantly twisting it.
I am shocked to see you using DPNs.
Um, yes. So, and I don't use DPNs often. I dug into the stash that Rose sent me. I'm not even certain what these are. They're just a plain gray, like pony or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or Inox.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're not anything special, but
So
because
why are you using those versus magic looping?
because I can't magic loop in such a way where I can get everything in one round. I kept having to split it in half because there's too many stitches on the needle for me to do it comfortably in one round.
Okay.
So I figured and it's such a hassle that every time I got to the end, I had to pick everything up and move it and turn it and twist it, that I figured if I was going to be doing that, at least I could do it on DPNs and go a little faster. And it is a
Okay.
little faster on DPNs for me.
Good.
Um,
Did
so
your gauge change at all on the DPNs?
I have no idea because most of the sweater is in this patterning.
Yeah.
So I have tried the sleeve on and it fits fine. So
Okay.
um, I just it has short row shaping on the cap, so you pick everything up and then you
Uh-huh.
knit back and forth until you get down to a
Oh.
flat edge, and then you just start knitting out. So
Interesting.
I haven't decided if I'm going to do it right at elbow length or just past elbow length. But I think I'm going to go just past. I just don't wear sweaters really that are full on
Yeah.
to the wrist, and especially moving back to Mississippi, it's just not cold enough most of the time.
That's
And
true.
I am so warm naturally that covering up the pulse points is just going to heat me even more. So um, most of my sweaters I try to make at a half length or just past a half length. So I've got a lot more to go, and I just don't enjoy knitting sleeves. So I'm going to try to put in like 10 rows a day on it.
Okay. So what's the final edge treatment for the sleeve? Is it garter? Is it 2x2 ribbing?
Um, that's an excellent question. And my pattern's upstairs. I don't know.
Okay.
It's the same as, no, it's not the same as the bottom. The bottom is ribbing, and I remember it wasn't ribbing, so it might be garter. But I think I'm actually going to do ribbing. And I'm going to
Yeah.
go down probably 2 needle sizes because my sweaters, unless I go down an extra needle size on the very end, the cuff of it, they tend to stretch out, and I don't
Okay.
like that. So I'm probably going to go down 2 needle sizes when I do the ribbing at the edge. So This is Mustache Yarns in the Queen of Hearts colorway. She does not do sweater yarn very often, so I do not know how likely it is that you could get it if you asked. You would have to send her a message. I got this a couple years ago. Alright, so that goes back in here to live in its happy home. It's like wrangling a, I don't know, uncooperative animal. The second thing I just cast on, and these are a free pattern by Sam Lamb. And it's the South.
Oh, the sweaters, the slippers.
Yeah, the South Marysburg slippers. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I've been looking for something to do with the yarn that Dragonfly gave us at Maryland. This is the Valkyrie.
Oh yeah, Valkyrie.
So it's a worsted weight, and I got it in the Firecracker colorway.
Cool.
And that looks like this.
Ooh, pretty.
It's wound into a ball because I started another project and it didn't work out, so I had to rip it out and hand wound it into a ball. So,
are you on the first slipper?
Yes.
Second slipper?
First slipper. Just started it as we started recording, so.
Okay.
This is what it looks like so far.
Oh, wow.
It's a pretty simple, I mean, I haven't thoroughly read the pattern. I just sort of skimmed it, and it's basically a flap sock, and you knit down around the sides, and then you come back and pick up around the edges where you put your foot in the hole.
Yeah.
It's got seed stitch. I'll probably do ribbing just because I want to, and I'm ornery. But yeah, that's, it calls for 4.5 millimeter. That's what I'm using. Because, oh no, I'm not. This is totally 3.7. How did I do that? Never mind. I have to recast this on. Because I'm using 3 needle sizes smaller than I should.
Oh.
I put the right needle in the bag. I guess I grabbed the wrong one though. My bad. It's a good thing I checked, or else I would probably not even notice until I got done, and then I would be really unhappy. It would be like cursed yarn. Anyway, that's it. Do you have any FO? Oh, no, you don't, so I need to go.
I don't. So you have FOs, and then you have spinning and I have spinning, so we can hash that out when we get to it.
Okay, so FO, where is it? Oh, here it is. So last week I had cast on Fractal Danger, which is a Martina Bem, sort of a scarflet sort of thing. In the Enchanté colorway by Knitter's Nightmare. It's a variegated colorway, and it is a 436 yard skein. And it's one of those where you can keep going until you're almost out of yarn.
Yeah.
And this is what I ended up with. Just a tiny
wow.
But I ended up with a couple, I would say it was over 100 stitches on the needle, so I just wasn't sure, and I didn't want to have to rip back, so I erred on the side of caution and ended up with like 3 grams left. And I'm really happy with how it came out. It is very large and very sparkly.
Have you blocked it yet?
Yes. So this is what it looks like.
So it's a scarf more than a shawlette.
Yeah, it's kind of like Hitchhiker is a scarf more than a shawlette.
Yeah.
So I like that it's got the angles of how you do the different decreases and change your direction. This will probably also be an SSK prize because while I really enjoyed knitting it and I like the sparkly yarn a lot, I just don't, it's not something that would go with anything I wear probably. So
you'll have to knit another one.
It's just something I had to possess, and now I've possessed it, and I've created something beautiful with it, and it can go to
very, very pretty
someone else. So yeah, it's at the deepest, it's probably like 7 inches deep. So
for someone who says they never gift knit, you do a lot of knitting for like the SSK charities.
I have definitely changed my tune over the past few years in that I used to be much more of a product knitter, and I think I still am to some degree, but I think that I've become more of a process knitter, that I just enjoy the process, but I enjoy the process to make X garment, not just enjoy the process. Like I enjoy the process to make X thing, and then once I've done it, I've like climbed that mountain. I can cross it off the list, and I almost don't care what happens to it after that. You know, for most
You don't
things.
typically re-knit patterns a whole lot,
No,
though.
no, I
Like
don't.
shawl patterns and stuff
There are a
is not.
few that I have, but it's not common. No, it's like each one is its own accomplishment to me in my brain, you know. So
Whereas I re-knit stuff all the
you do,
time.
but
It's
at the
like a
same time,
broom hamster.
you knit very quickly, much faster than I do on a general basis, and you find something you like and you knit it again and again, and there's not a darn thing wrong with it. I have a giant queue.
I
So
do
yours
too,
is
but
actually like 10 times bigger than mine. And I have a
mine
lot of
doesn't
patterns.
decrease a whole lot because I just hit the same things I like over and over
Yeah.
again.
I have to find those needles. I know I put them in here. Anyway, talk about your spinning, please. Give me a
Okay,
break.
so I was actually, when I was over here rummaging around, I actually sampled for this project. Oh, there it is. But then I couldn't find it. So what I'm doing is completely crazy, and I know it's crazy and I know it's insane, so I'm going into that knowing this,
You're
okay?
embracing the crazy.
I always embrace the crazy. So what I'm doing is a long time ago, we had gotten around 10 ounces of Southern Cross when he was doing like an anniversary of some
Yes.
kind,
I
and we
have the
could
purple
order.
back there somewhere.
Okay. So I gotten like 300 grams, which is like 10.5 ounces. And the original thing that I was going to do with it is I was going to do a hand spun hero.
Mm-hmm.
And
We all
that was,
were.
yes, and that was going to be my body color for my hero. And then I kind of, I don't knit a lot of sweaters to begin with. And so I have other sweater lots that I'm going to spin that are like, 2 pounds, and I have a ton of fleece. So what I decided to do was something that's been on my bucket list for a long time is to, after seeing Kimber Fiber Optic and a couple others, is to spin for a Susan Pandora pattern called Evenstar.
Ooh.
Which, if you've watched the show for a while, Leslie knit one for Karen for her wedding. This is not for some. This is something that I'm actually going to. I can't see this going someplace else. So I have 300 grams of this gorgeous purple, and
Ooh, look how
this was my
pretty it
sampling
is.
for it. So it is a 2 lace weight that I'm hoping to get 1,500 yards. It's around 22 reps per inch. There's so much, so reps per inch. There's
Yeah,
controversy.
because how close should the threads be together? Should you
And you
jam them
don't want
all
to
in
pull it
there?
tight. And you always want to do it after you've soaked your. See, now I'm squishing it together.
Mm-hmm.
You always want to do it so that they're apart a little bit, like they're not on top of each other. But you don't want to pull them like tight and wrap, because if
Mm-hmm.
I pull it tight and wrap, that's not a true
Right.
representation. Because
It's not
so
relaxed.
yeah, you want to do it so it's kind of loose, and you want to do it after it's washed. So I think this was like 22 reps per inch, which falls into the parameters for the lace owl. This is the rest of the little sampling I did. Um, so I just spun like 2 grams, I think, to sample, because I was really, you should sample a little bit more than that, but I didn't want to. One of the things with House Cup is you don't want to spin too much, because when you knit for an owl, when you swatch, your swatch doesn't count towards the whole amount.
Mm-hmm.
So like this won't count towards my finished yardage. So if I get 1,492 yards, I can't count this 8 yards or
Yeah.
towards my finished yardage. So even though I could use it for the finished product. The Evenstar calls for 1,500 yards of a 2-ply lace weight. So that is the goal out of
So
this 10 ounces.
I know that there's a lot of, and I only know this because you told me, but I know that there is some question on how to measure WPI, wraps per inch.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I remember something during Spinzilla where there's
The Mortem balance,
or it's a McCorin or something.
whatever the balance is, the
Yeah,
yarn.
that's supposed to give you more accurate yardage.
It is, but only if you spin consistently throughout the whole thing.
Well, but it would still give you a pretty good idea.
I guess if you spin consistently. I'm not the most consistent spinner, which you can kind of see. So anyway, I finished the first 115 grams.
Whoa.
So that is what's
You
on this.
seriously packed it on there.
Yeah, and it's really, really fine. I checked it as I went against, I have a single sample, and then I have this 2-ply sample, and then I also have a clear plastic thing that I got at
Maryland.
Maryland. So right now the singles are over because it only goes to like 40 reps per inch. So this is over 40 reps per inch as a single, which you want because when it's 2-ply, it's going to puff out a little bit. You trap air in it. So like a 45 reps per inch, 2 of those combined might equal like a 22. So this is the first 115 grams. I have another 30, 30, maybe 15. So maybe 65 on the other bobbin, but I have to get 115 on that to hit the halfway point for my owl, which is due the last day of the month.
So you need to have 230?
Yes, I have to have 8 ounces of the single spun.
Oh, okay.
Hoping to get all 1,500 yards out of 8 ounces.
But
I have that extra 2 ounces just in case. Does that make sense?
So is your owl to spin and knit the Evenstar, or just spin for it?
No, it's just spinning for it.
So,
It's a charms owl, which is lace.
So why is spinning for it require 8 ounces of spinning when your total that you have is 10 ounces?
Well, it requires 1,500 yards. So I have to hit that. When I proposed it, I didn't say, hey, I'm going to spin 10 ounces because I'm inherently lazy. And if I can hit that 1,500 yards with 8 ounces, then I don't want to spend those other 2 ounces. I'll do something. I'll do like a 3-ply that's a little bit heavier so I can do color work mittens.
Yeah, something. No, and I get that. I guess I was just curious as to who decided that halfway is.
I did.
Okay.
You pick your halfway.
No complaint.
So I front loaded it because I front loaded it with the singles being done for 8 ounces because I want to apply that at 8 ounces, see what I get, and then go from there. It's taking me around 4 hours to spin 22 grams. So it's pretty because it's so fine. It's a definite time commitment, but because I'm traveling so much in July and then school starts back, really I go back to, as soon as SSK gets over, I go up to school and I laminate stuff and I start working back in my library for the majority of the day, basically full days. And I have to punch in and out because if I get injured, Workman wants to know that I'm there.
Yeah.
So, like, I wanted to front load it, so all I have to do, I'm hoping to ply by the 4th, because the 3rd or the 4th is when TDF starts, and I want to start spinning more than knitting. Plus, dash wise, this will be 1,500 yards, so that'll be a good chunk, probably like 1,300 meters for dash. So I'd like to get that over and done with. I might not hit the 50% mark, but I will hit, I think, the finished owl. So I don't get all the points, but it gets checked off on my owls that I have a list of owls I still have to do. So that'll be checked off. And then if I want to knit the Evenstar, when you do a newt, that combines 2 owls, and it's 4 months worth of work. So I'll do that for the Evenstar. But I'm actually thinking about taking a break from doing a semester off for House Cup because I need a break.
Yeah, mentally. No, I don't blame you that.
So I'll probably do it I was planning on doing it fall newt, but I'll probably do it winter instead.
Sorry, I was clicking. I was trying to find that scale thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
But apologies to anybody who had to listen to my clicking keys. I promise I wasn't being rude. So it looks like the Woolery sells it.
Yeah.
And it's just called a yarn balance. And you basically take, 10 inches or so, and you put it on the scale, and then you do some math, and it helps you get an estimate. It's not exact because, like you said, hand spinning is you're not a machine. You're going to have slight slubs and little things. But I'm going to put this in the favorite things notes in case people are curious.
Yeah.
In fact, I think maybe we should get one for the tasting the tasting room.
Okay.
yarn balance
We need to
for...
order fiber from there anyways because we need to have our bat making fiber. Like,
Yeah, I have a bunch still,
okay.
but yeah, there's still a little bit we probably need to do. Okay, so I put that in the notes, so promise I wasn't being rude.
No,
Okay,
you have spinning though too.
I do. So, and I sort of had to push myself to finish this because I really wanted it done this week. And this
You
was
had to push yourself because you were enjoying it so much, or you weren't enjoying it.
I just don't enjoy spinning very thin yarn, and I think
Oh, was it thin?
for me it was
Okay.
thin. What for you it was probably thicker than your default, but for
No.
me it was thin. And I think part of it's because of the way that I spin, which is why I'm looking forward to hopefully taking a class with Maggie at SSK. And basically, part of the way that I spin lace, I'm digging my fingernail into my finger
Oh,
to
yeah.
draft. And I think that's part of the reason. So I'm hoping that she can help me break myself of that. Anyway, so it is it was the Moonshine, which is the company that's no longer in business, and it was bright and murky. So 2 ounces was this sort of silvery black, and then 2 ounces was just crazy rainbow
So
colors.
rainbow bright reference.
And then you applied them together, and I applied it this morning, and then soaked it and laid it outside where it is crazy hot. And it is gorgeous.
That is gorgeous. How many yards did you get? That's fabulous.
402.
That's amazing.
So for
Do you have
me, it was a
plans
lot.
for it?
No,
Yeah.
I don't have plans for it. It might
No,
go in
that's
the SSK
gorgeous.
pot as well.
Oh, I would knit something really pretty out of that, like a hitchhiker or something.
I enjoyed spinning it, but I just don't know what I would use it for. So I don't know. Maybe it'll go in the SSK pot. Maybe I'll just do a random Knit Girls giveaway. I don't know. I hate for all the good stuff only to go to SSK because I know we have a lot of people who just can't
Yeah.
make SSK or they live overseas or whatever. So yeah, I spun it on the mini. I plied it using the new Acreworks Lazy Kate, which has so many cool little neat
So
things about
cool.
it.
It's definitely worth saving your penny and getting.
Yeah, and we'll have some at SSK for the tasting room to show off.
Oh,
I just
I need
think
to
he's
send
got
mine back and
these
get it.
little rubber things that go on the end. They're called tension tamers, and it's
Smart.
so smart because for most top loading Lazy Kates, where where the rod that holds the bobbin isn't enclosed in some way. Usually the bobbin moves around
Yeah.
constantly, and if once you get close to the end and the bobbin gets lighter, depending on how quick you ply, that sucker can just fly right
Yeah.
off. Um,
I've used those on the tension tamers. I've
Mhm.
used them on my other ones as well.
that's
Like my
smart.
other Lazy Kate. So he
Yeah.
said he's going to sell those separately at some point. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to get like 4 more
Yeah.
so I can just keep them with my other 5 Lazy Kates. No, I don't. Oh crap, I
You
do.
probably have more than 5. You don't want to go down that road.
I have the Will Todd one, which I love. I have the Alexandria's Craft one, also a good one. I have the Ogletree one, which is Ogle something, which is really good. That's a slanty one. I have the
Yeah.
Acreworks, and then I have the one that came with the Lendrum, and the one that came with Saxony, and the one that came with the Shoptree of Saxony. But I don't. Those are more bobbin storage, I feel like, than Lazy Kates.
You tell yourself whatever you have to tell
Mhm.
yourself.
Exactly. Really, I need like a good bobbin storage system where I can show off all my pretty Acreworks bobbins and all my other pretty bobbins. I'll have to think
You
about
need
it.
to have a long, thin, like a 1x4, and have rods and have it across the top of a border across the top of
But
a
I need to be
room.
able to get to them easily.
You're 6 foot tall.
No, I understand that. But like if it's a long rod, let's say I want that bobbin in the middle.
No,
then I have to
I'm
take
saying
all-
a long board with rods in it every 5 inches or
Oh, I
whatever.
see what like a pegboard.
Yes, where you can just hang them all. Where they would be
That's a
displayed.
thought.
I have a husband that builds things, and
You
we're
do.
moving there soon.
I have a
so-
garage that has plenty of space for stuff like that. And my garage, before people get worried, is not
It's
an actual
enclosed.
garage.
Right,
It's enclosed with heating and air, so I'm not going to ruin my bobbins by putting them in the high humidity of Mississippi summers. It was 97 here today.
It was 78 here today, and it was warm. Michael and I were talking. We were outside yesterday because one of the things that we did to this house is Michael. I'm not even going to say we did this. Michael built a deck. I helped stain it. That's pretty much my only contribution. Well, and I paid for a lot of the like
materials,
lumber and stuff. Yeah, but we built a deck. We did a built-in gas fire pit with the pretty like glass. It looks like broken glass where the fire comes through it.
I hope you do that to your house in Mississippi
So,
too.
yeah, we're definitely going to do a lot. I really want a pool, so it may be a few years away, but I think we're going to do a pool in that house. But we did all this work, and we're never out there. So we both want to spend, at least a few nights out there before we move. But
And you've got a cool hammock out there too.
yeah, and we've got some lawn furniture that our friend Sharon she got some fancy new stuff and was kind enough to give us her stuff. So
Cool.
Yes. So now you know way more about my deck than you really care to know. But yes, we have a book to review.
We do. It is New Heights in Lace Knitting. The lovely people at Interweave or F&W Media sent this to us. It is by Andrea
Jurgrau.
She's we reviewed her new vintage lace book a while back. This one retails for $24.99 in the US, $30.99 in Canada. Nice even number. It is 17 lace knit accessory patterns, so no sweaters in here, a lot of shawls, wristers, hats, and everything kind of takes the theme of mountain climbing, which is a really interesting thing. So it starts with hikes, treks, and moderate climbs, which are like the easier accessories. And the first one is the easiest project, and then it works up to later ones are the most difficult. So, like, there's a great section at the beginning that has everything you need to know about materials and techniques, a good bit about how to block,
bead size, and yarn size, the pairings there. She's got a great technique section with all kinds of, it's probably one of the most comprehensive technique section in a lace book that I've seen.
Especially swatching lace.
Yes.
Like, you don't see many books that go over the different types of swatching with beads to make sure that they work. And if you're just starting with knitting lace and beads, the very first project is the Breakneck Ridge Storm King scarves. And that it's a pretty simple motif that repeats, but it's got a beaded section, and that middle spine is beaded. So it's a great first project for learning how to bead. Now, this is not a beading book. If you're really looking for a beaded project book, Laura Nelkin's book is a really, really good one for that. But this does incorporate some beads. It does use primarily charts. The charts can be somewhat small at times, so you might have to blow them up.
Yeah.
And even this uses multiple charts. So that's just something to take into consideration. They did use different colors in this particular project. It's interesting. The styling in this is interesting because it's all about hiking, but some of the things are not outfits that you would hike in.
Yeah, I feel like maybe somebody didn't tell the photographer that it was a hiking based. And that's not something that the designer can have any control over. If you're not aware, for big companies like Interweave or Story Publishing, sometimes the designers and the photographers never even meet. So the photographer will have a stylist who styles the models in whatever way.
Does makeup and stuff.
Yeah, so some of the disconnect you really can't blame on the designer.
I really like the Costa Rica
Corcovado
mitts. They're really pretty. They are one size, which is 5.
It's 5.5 inch hand circumference when it's relaxed, when it's not stretched out.
But those are really pretty, and I feel like you could use some odds and ends for that. Those are knit at a fingering weight, so if you're scared of lace weight, that might be a good starter project for you as well. As we go along, the patterns get increasingly more difficult. There are some hats, there are some cowls. The Alpine German cowl is a pretty one that also features beads. Reminds me a little bit of some of the Roomy Hill patterns.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really pretty though, and that does use lace weight. That uses a cashmere lace weight. So if you have that one skein of special 400-yard like cashmere or bison lace weight that you splurged on, that would be a good project. I have one of those skeins. That would be a good project for that.
I like the Maku Piku beanie. And I only know how to pronounce that because I had a colorway of Maku Piku and I pronounced it horribly wrong years ago, and somebody sent me the link. So whoever you were that did that, thank you. Now I know how to say Maku Piku. But I like this hat, and it's actually composed out of unicorn tails, which is a Madeline Tosh like sample size skein.
Not 500, 50-yard skein.
Yeah. And I like the feather and fan. I like that they alternate the colors. It's pretty simplistic, but it's still got a little bit of fun to it, which is nice.
Then we get into chapter 5, which is the Seven Summits chapter. So we're getting more increasingly difficult. And you can tell now we're getting into some of the larger shawls. There are shawls of all different shapes in here. So there's more of a square throw / shawl in the Oceana.
Yes, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the name
Of the peak that it's based off of.
Right.
That does seem to have a crochet border to it.
Yeah, it looks like a picot bind off, a gathered crochet bind off. I'm sorry, you're right.
So, and that has a very large chart, 2 large charts that I would have, 3 large charts that I would have to blow up. I really like the diamond. So there's, what I like about this book is as it increases in difficulty, it's not just triangle shawls.
Mm-hmm.
There's all different shapes. So, and most of these are all going to be lace weight. The diamond dust wrap.
I like that. Yeah, it's an open hexagon.
I feel like that would be really pretty as a wedding shawl, particularly. Maybe just because it's in that white. Yeah. But it seems like that would be a really pretty wedding shawl to knit for someone. And that's the cover shawl.
I like the little bits in that one, especially the little bits where you take one stitch and you increase it out exponentially, and you've got those little bit of solid inside the lace.
Really noobs. Yeah.
I like that. I think that's a nice design.
But it's not a beginner. I mean, obviously we've increased in complexity,
Right.
but you're talking, it goes to chart F. So it really is a complicated type.
Yeah, and they grow in complexity, like Laura's mentioned. I like the Mount Kilimanjaro shawl, which is knit using a Freya lace weight.
I like how it is a gradient. That adds a little bit of extra interest to it as well.
And she shows you in the schematics of each shawl what it's going to look like when it's laying and blocked out. So it gives you an idea of the shape.
For blocking especially. I appreciate schematics for larger shawls that I need
Anything
to block.
that's sort of a non-standard shape, you really need it. Like the Mount McKinley, which is a non-standard shape. This is a stole, and it looks like it's knit from the center out. So it's got a really pretty...
But it's that shape.
It's sort of like an oval scarf. And you can see the designer or the photographer kind of showing that here in this picture, where the lace mesh sort of goes over her arms. And the only solid design is around the edging and in the center back.
So then she gets into a chapter that is all triangles, and she talks about different types of triangles and the projects that each of those fall into. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different triangles, and she even has like a layout of how all the different triangles work, so you get a very clear understanding of how these shawls are actually like a triangle from the center out. I don't think I've ever seen a triangle.
And I like that she tells you for this type of triangle, a good reference is this shawl in this book.
Yes.
So if you are interested in an acute triangle, you want to look at the Pacific Crest, or an obtuse, you want to look at the Charlotte Pass. So I like that it gives you something to look at to give you a real grasp on it.
And there are some really pretty pieces in here as well.
Um,
There's the Fransania Traverse wrap. I'm sorry, I'm butchering
we
names.
knew we were going to butcher names. Sorry about that.
That one's really pretty as well, and it's an interesting shape. So I always do enjoy some interesting shapes.
Yeah. Um, she's also got the equilateral triangle, the Pacific Crest shawl, which is one you don't see a whole lot of.
Hmm.
Um, it doesn't have a whole lot of surface area to sort of wrap around you because it's more just in general kind of broad, but the edges aren't any broader than the body of the shawl. Really, it's equilateral, so there's not a whole lot of like extra wingspan for you to use to wrap around
To
you.
wrap. One of
Um,
the things that I really appreciate about this book, in the back, when she's talking about beads, she goes through finish names of beads, like color lined finish, and a description of what that is,
mhm.
which is lined with a colored coating, and the effect that it has, so the inner color glows. So she goes through all these bead terms that I didn't know
I've never
what
seen this anywhere else. Yeah, so
transparent was versus a gold luster versus a rainbow versus an AV versus a metal lined versus
right,
a
it
color line.
tells
So
you
I
like
thought that was really
when you're
interesting.
shopping beads and that bead has a description of um, alabaster red. She's telling you here the alabaster is it's similar to opal. It's also often with a lining and it gives a warm glow. So now you
Yeah,
know that bead paired with the yarn is going to give a warm glow. So that's something Laura pointed out I've never seen anywhere else before. So
I've
that's
never
pretty
seen that
cool.
before. The one thing that I feel like this book is missing in regards to beads. I wish she had a chart of because a lot of times when you buy beads, you buy them by the gram.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I have an order from Fusion Beads that's sitting over here, and it you buy it like each of these are 10-gram bags. But when you look at knitting patterns, it says you need 500
Right.
beads.
Now,
So
when you
there
go
are
to
charts out there.
the site will tell you usually this
Mhm.
many grams means this many beads on
This
average.
size.
Right.
So there are charts out there saying if you're getting a size 6 bead, usually per 10 grams, there's 50 beads. I've
Right.
just made that up. Don't take that as like an actual
Yeah.
thing. So I wish that was in here as well. Overall, a really interesting book. Really interesting inspiration based. If you are a hardcore lace knitter or are really, really interested in lace, this might be one that you want to add to your collection. It's very modern lace. It's not, it's got some traditional lace techniques, but with a modern twist. So really, really interesting. So this is New Heights in Lace Knitting, and it retails for $24.99. Thank you, F&W, for sending it our way.
Mm-hmm.
We have another book of theirs to review in a couple weeks as well that I really like. Um, we have a question, and it says, "Dear Leslie and Laura."
Whoa, that's a big question.
Yeah, but it's like you have to. Let's just read.
Okay, I haven't read it, so go ahead.
How do you know slash imagine slash predict what a braid or bat of fiber will spin up looking as a finished product? Is there a way to have an idea of how it will look using different spinning techniques, 2-ply, 3-ply, fractal, and so on? I'm tempted by all these beautiful braids, and so far my spinning has turned out beautiful, but I want to be able to better plan the color slash look of my finished yarn. Right now, it always feels like a surprise. If sampling is the answer to my first question, how do you do that? Start with an ounce and try all the different versions, but what if you only have 4 ounces? I just finished spinning a braid that I split in half lengthwise, hated spinning the first half, enjoyed the second half, and loved the final product. The first half was not attractive and I hated it. It took me months to finish this project because of that. I just plied it this morning and was loving the results. I was thinking of adding a second braid to improve the boring first half, but in the end decided not to. How do you know when to add a second color braid to the mix? Adding a second color, how do you decide between a solid or a second complementary variegated? So, that's a big question.
Okay, let me give my answer,
Okay.
which is sort of the gangly street kid answer, and you can give the correct one.
No, I don't think there is a correct answer to this.
You
I
can
mean, there
give a
could be.
more scientific one. How about
I
that?
don't know about that. I will tell
Um,
you a class that I took that helped me a lot with this.
so at the core, the question is, how do you look at a braid or a bump of fiber and know what it's going to come out looking like, or be able to control what it's going to look like? My answer is I don't. I just sort of hope for the best and do something fun, unless it's a gradient, and then I just try to spin it thin equally, and that's pretty much it. Like I have failed a lot in trying to get something to look a certain way, so, and I don't take correction super well when it comes to spinning. I take it personally when I shouldn't. And so I don't try to control
You
it.
crack me
I
up.
just sort of hope for the best. Also, Gangly Street Kid Answer is the title for this week's
Awesome.
episode. And now Lorik is more specific, and the only other thing I'll add in there is there's probably teachers out there who can teach this.
There are. Jillian Marino has a class on this, on called Fractal Explosion, I think. Jazz Turtle has a class. I will tell you that one of the first spinning classes that I took on Craftsy is by Sweet Georgia, and that is all about color theory and how you can look at a braid and make it work for you. And I need to go back and rewatch it. It's an excellent class. When I was taking the class, I did some really interesting like modeling on purpose and faux row logs and stuff like that, that techniques that I need to go back and redo. Um, so I guess the first thing to do is open your braid and see if there's a repeating color sequence and see how it was dyed. So like on this one, we start with a light green, then a dark green, then a bluish gray, gray, yellow, green, light green, dark green, purple. So it doesn't really have a repeating color sequence that seems to be popping up. Um, because especially like the end does not equal the start. Although, let's take a look at this. If I divide it that way, yeah, it might be repeating a little bit. So you can open up your braid and see if it's repeating. What I do a lot, this is the super cheater way of doing it, is I am in a lot of clubs, and oftentimes I don't spin the fiber the second it arrives, but there are people who do. And so I look at those people. So before I spin any of my Hello Yarn or Southern Cross clubs, or when I was in the Into the World club, oh my gosh, side note, Into the World is having a sale until the end of the month,
Mm-hmm.
and that includes their clubs.
Yeah, I've
So
had
if
to
you've
intentionally
ever
stay off
thought
the site.
if you have ever thought of doing a fiber club, Into the World has been one of the best clubs that I've ever been in. The only reason I'm not in it right now is I have like 100 pounds of fiber that I need to work my way through. Chris and James are amazing, and if you pay for the first 6 months all up front, they're giving you like 20% off. So they
And
can
their
help
club
finish
was
this.
already super reasonably priced
Oh
before the
yeah.
sale.
It's gonna be under $100 for 6 months worth of fiber.
Wow. That's
So
tempting.
see, you should do it. I'm waiting till I
No.
get paid at the end of the month. I'm really like, I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't. Oh, but it's so well priced. And like, since I've quit, I've loved every single month that they've come out with, and I've been kicking myself. So I don't know, I might. Anyway, we had a question. I
How do you
totally.
determine?
Oh, okay. So,
So you
sometimes
cheat and
I'll
go out and
cheat,
see what everybody
and I'll
else.
see what other and that is the awesome thing about Ravelry is I can go on and say, oh, this person spun a 2-ply bulky. When you spin a 2-ply bulky, you're going to be able to see the colors more
Mm-hmm.
just because they're in shorter segments. When you fractal spin it, the colors don't mix up, like they purposefully do not match. So when I spun this, I made sure, see how high contrast it is? I knew I wanted high contrast because there were so many cool colors going on. I really wanted to see them. So when I divided it, I just chopped it into thirds. This is a 3-ply. And made sure that I never started at the same point. So I would never match up. So I would have that whole high contrast throughout. There are great classes. That Craftsy class is an awesome one. This is a gradient that I spun with another skein of yarn. So this was one gradient, and then I did a solid throughout the whole thing. So it's still gradients, and then that solid just remains the same throughout.
Yeah, so it'll be slightly mottled, but it'll still gradiate out into the color.
When I combine, I'm not as cool as some of the people in the House Cup who really like star knits, and her sister really naturally knitty. You should go look at their Ravelry.
See, the problem for me is that even if I went out and saw something just freaking amazing, I wouldn't be able to replicate it. Like, I don't have the
They do
confidence
interesting matchup.
to be
Well,
able to say,
it's just fiber. She grew new fiber every day.
yeah, but if I'm disappointed in what I've made, then I
You
get
give it to someone else who loves
discouraged.
it. No, someone will love it. Like I have some ugly stuff that I've given away, and people love it.
I don't feel
So
like that is a true statement, but
I have hits and misses too, and I have some that sometimes it comes out and it really needs another like run through. Like you look at it and you're like, And hold on, I've got a whole bag of hand spun up here. Let me show you some terrible hand spun. This is some old hand spun. So like this is not my favorite, but I feel like it's really loosely plied. I have no idea what this fiber is. I feel like it was a bat at some point. But if I run this back through and add some more twist,
it
I
might
think
look totally different.
it might look totally, like you can tell, it's very low on the twist. It might look totally different. And it's thick and thin a little bit. But like then where the sampling comes in, isn't it a swatch out of it? Because when you swatch with it, it look totally different. So, I mean, there's some things in here that are not my best ever. This one's fun. This was Romney, I think. That could probably go back through too. But I prefer a tight twist. There are some people who do not prefer a tight twist. And tight twist is not the best for lace. But, I mean, it is what it is. And if you don't love it, post it on Ravelry or Instagram and say free to a good home, and someone will take it off your hands.
Yeah, I mean, that's good karma for sure. And I give away a lot. I feel like you give away a lot too.
I don't know about that. I get a lot too. So, it all works out. Like, this is some that Lynn gave me. And that's just gorgeous. So this is sitting here waiting. If anyone has an idea, I have no idea how many yards this is. Lynn gave this to me, and it needs to be. I'm almost tempted to try brioche with this.
Ooh, that would be fun with like a solid.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know. I think this is a worsted weight. I could do wraps per inch, which lies, and find out. But I strongly encourage you to check out that Sweet Georgia Craftsy class. Wait till they're having a sale, and it's like $14.99 or $19.99.
And we are a Craftsy affiliate, so feel free to click through on our website. It gives us $1 or something.
She really goes in depth of how to break out braids, and I always find taking a class from the class that we're taking with at SSK with Maggie Casey is about color theory and that. So I think that'll be really, really useful. There's always stuff to learn, but look on Ravelry too. There are so many cool spinning groups on Ravelry where, especially if you have a certain dyer, you can flick through finished objects and just look and see what different people and what they've knit out of it. It's very cool.
I'm also a total cheater, so if I go and I'm looking at a thread and it's not like a finished object only thread, so there's chatter, I just click there's a little button at the top that for pictures only. I'm like, I don't care what you have to say, I just want to look at what the pretty stuff
if I'm looking for a specific like colorway, I'll search that colorway just to see it again. So lots of interesting things out there in Ravelry. I saw a gorgeous skein that Naturally Knitty did where she 6-plied it by taking both ends and then Navajo plying it together.
Well, that's a cool idea.
See, and now I want to do that in the worstest of ways, so I might do that. But you're gonna.
You could take a book like Sarah Anderson's A Spinner's Guide to Yarn or whatever, and work through all the things that she does for sampling and I think you would learn a lot about your
Yeah.
own spinning if you worked through a book like that.
There's someone, this got posted in the Slytherin, let me find it now and then I'll post it in our group. In our Slytherin spinning group, they're having like an inter-house unity thing this week. And there's a group where, oh, come on, forums. Sometimes my Mac hates me. And I just joined the group today, but it's a natural, like she does just natural colored fiber. And the group name is, come on. Oh, why is it doing that? It thinks that I want to go backwards when I scroll. Not Sweets Off the Wheel, not Just Turtle Creates. Hold on, let me make this bigger. Anyway, she does like a Project Runway type thing where she gives you, it's called Do It Naturally. Haha, that's so funny. And so she does this Project Spinway, and you can check out and see, like, they have like a theme. So one of them was, let me go in. One of them is bats or science fair, and she like gives you a theme, and then you have to do whatever you want to make it literal, and it's kind of like a Project Runway type thing. So it's very, very cool. Let me link that group into our show notes. But there's a lot of inspiration out there, and some of it I never see. So that's the plus side of being in something cool like Harry Potter House Cop, is there's always people out there doing really interesting things and sharing it. But anyway, we've totally gotten off topic.
Just a little bit.
Love spinning. It's an obsession. And we're going to talk about what we read. So you have one book and I have a lot of books. So would you like to go first?
I have been listening to The Cycle of Arwan, which is a book. It's narrated by Tim Gerard Reynolds, who narrates a ton of books. He's got sort of a British accent, but he's, let's see what else he's narrated, because he's narrated a bunch that I've listened to. Dawn of Wonder, the whole Red Rising series, Theft of Swords series, all sorts of fantasy and sort of borderline science fiction. He's also narrated some Hugh Howey books, and this one is fantasy, so there's magic and gods and things like that, and I'm about 6 hours into it, and I'm sort of on the border of not caring anymore. So it's a 60 plus hour collection.
That's the downside of audiobooks. Sometimes I feel like if you were reading it, you could read it faster and you get very into it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're listening to someone, sometimes it gets a little bit long.
So if you've listened to this book, The Cycle of Erewhon, I spelled it wrong. I'll have to go back and fix that. It's by Edward Robertson. If you've read or listened to it and it gets better, let me know. But right now, I'm really on the border of not caring anymore and just calling it done. Aside from that, I've just been reading some smutty stuff that I'm not going to post. So what about you?
I've been reading some short stories by Grace Draven that I never picked up before. Master of Crows has some short stories that follow. I feel like that's super open for a sequel.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, like a second sequel. So I'll be interested to see Gail Carriger, who does a lot of steampunk stuff. She's got some non-steampunk short stories that I've been picking up and reading. There's one that I think that you would like that's a male-male romance called Marine Biology. I think it's a very short story.
Okay.
But I think you would like that one. I also have been continuing on with the Katie McAllister Dragon series as it comes in at the library. I'm on Dragon Storm, which is the second of third. And then TJ Klune had a new book come out called Wolf Song, and I picked that up, and that was very good. That one I spent I started it at 9 o'clock and stayed up till 4 finishing it.
Wow. So I definitely
And typically,
need to read that.
so it's a werewolf book, and typically I do not care for romances of any kind that start when people are teenagers
Yeah, I don't
or
either.
kids and
Because
then
it makes
move
me
up.
feel weird, like I'm a
Yeah,
perv.
like it's creepy.
Yeah.
But this one was actually really well done. Like still like I'm not too fond of 18-year-old love stories in general, but it's pretty good. But it does have that 18-year-old
Yeah.
like
Borderline
the
perv.
yeah, like one of them's like 23 and the other's 18 and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're catching me right on the edge there. Which is funny cuz 10 years ago I would have been like, "Nah."
Whatevs.
But things change, but
Yes.
that one's pretty good. But there's been some in the past that I'm like, y'all are children. No. Um, so that is about it. I've been catching up on a few other rereading some stuff, but those are the main ones that I read that were pretty decent. I mean, everything's kind of silly and goofy as a whole. We still have Stash Dash going on,
Hmm.
and someone at Stash Dash asked me for a 20K next year because they're
Oh,
done with the
God.
15K.
How?
I don't know because they're amazing. I wish I was as amazing. A lot of people use it to clear up all their whips. They don't cast on anything new for the most
That's
part.
a great idea.
So those people are finished, and there's some people who have hit 10K or 15K already, which is amazing. I don't know that I'm gonna add a 20K. Like you just keep on adding to yours, and you just keep on rocking it. But I don't know that I can.
We should give a prize for whoever does the most, though.
Sure,
Something.
yeah, pattern something.
Yeah.
Small. Um, so that is still going on. We have the spin along for the Sal Cal for the very cool Freddie the Peacock
Freddie
fiber.
loves the Knit Girls. Yep.
Yes. And that is a really interesting breed of Leicester Longwool, which is a Longwool, obviously. So not the finest, like not necessarily. I don't think it's not next to skinwear, but it is a little bit rougher than
It's
a
not merino.
yeah.
It's a longer staple, so it's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and what I like to do with longer staple wools like that is add very little twist because they don't need a lot of twist to stay together.
Yeah.
I got a cool new toy and I did a little video about it that I posted to Periscope. It is called the Foldio 2. It is a very cool folding magnetic based light box. And so I talk about that and that, but it's just a real. I'll have to do like when Leslie moves back and we can do formal reviews
Hmm.
because this is really shaky. It's been a long time since I was on Periscope. Plus, trying to put something together and hold a phone in my other hand, not my finest hour.
I don't think it's anybody's.
So eventually we'll do a review for it. It will be in the tasting room at SSK. So that'll be lots of fun to try out. And I'm going to be using it a lot in the next coming weeks to photograph some door prizes and also SSK prizes. Well, SSK prizes, but also Stash Dash prizes that we've had come in that are super fun. I will be in Boston for the International Literacy Association Conference from July 9th until the 11th. So that will be lots of fun. So that week, I'll be gone on a Sunday and I will not be back till Monday night. So we will be delayed that week in the podcast unless we want to record Thursday before I leave. But
We can just record after.
yeah, I'll have more to show after that. And we want to thank you to all our Patreon supporters
Yes.
very, very much. And we are going to do a drawing.
Yes.
Did you get the thing ready?
I totally got the thing ready while you were talking about all the scientific ways to do spinning.
Not the non-scientific ways, which is cheat off of other people. Um,
Um,
so the
yes.
hand spun, I haven't even started yet, but it is this cool braid that I was just taking apart. It's really, really pretty. It is Corriedale from Three Waters Farm in the Homestead Purple colorway. It's 4 ounces. It's going to be a lot of fun to spin, and I'm going to take care of that this week after the first when all the stuff's
How
due.
are you going to spin it?
Well, it's kind of skinny, so I think I'm going to just fractals.
But I mean, are you going to 2-ply it, 3-ply it?
I'm gonna 2-ply it because look, the fiber in the braid is pretty fine. So I would typically, I can still fractal it. I can fractal it. I think I'll fractal spin it because there's so many. It's a short color burst, so it's not going to like the long segments are not going to be very long. You know, I might do. I might just split it instead of splitting it in half this way. I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm going to find a middle section and
That's
pull
the
it
way
in
I
half.
always do it.
Oh, really?
Because I don't trust that it's even if I split it lengthwise. Whereas
You
if I
split it
split
in
it,
the middle versus on the end. Do you know what I'm talking about?
oh, like JC Boggs taught us,
Yeah.
yeah, I do, but I still don't trust that it's going to be even. So I always just, unfold the braid and then
Go from
drape it
there.
out and then pull it in half that way and then spin it
Mm.
whatever way. Total gangly street kid answer. I had forgotten what I called it already.
You're silly.
Why are you trying to
So
sign
this
into
is going to
Amazon?
be one of them. I'm going to
Sorry.
split it now.
I had the random site pulled up and it somehow went to Amazon.
That's hysterically funny. Yeah, like this is not going to match up at all. So one will have the longer repeats because I'll just spin it straight, and the other will have shorter repeats for the fractal.
And this is for anyone who has a $3 per episode reward on Patreon. So thank you to those of you who are in that particular tier. And we have between 2 and 45 to pick from. So I put that in my random number generator, and I have not pushed the button yet. And I'll push the button.
Push
And
that.
the number is 45.
That's amazing. That never happens.
That is Sonic Freak, who I think has won this once before.
Won last month.
Oh, well, congratulations, Sonic Freak. Apparently, Random Number really loves you. So, maybe next week I'll just mix up I'll sort it by, like, state or country instead of name. I don't know.
I don't think she was last time, though.
I don't remember, but I will send you her information. Let me.
I have. Well, I think I just deleted it.
You
Yeah.
delete everything, so I'm just gonna
I
mark that.
do.
And now for our two, let me refresh this. So for those of you in the 250 tier, we give away a skein of yarn, and so what I'm going to pull is, this is from Great Lakes Hand Dyed, and this lady is in our group. She's super nice. And this is self-striping. It's a wool nylon blend in the Ixion sock in the Blair colorway. And so it's stripes of black mixed with shades of blue and purple in between, which I think is a really cool way to dye it. And it's very soft. It feels like it would make great socks. And it is 420 yards, so it's enough for pretty much any size pair of socks, unless you just have really large feet. And so that is for the $2.50 tier per episode. And so our numbers are between 2 and 59. So let me put that in the random number generator, and we'll see who our winner is. Okay, so I have not pushed any buttons. I can never tell if it focuses or not. There you go. So let's push the button, and the number is 46. So that is Jennifer, and let's see if it's Jennifer Flunker, and I can't remember her Ravelry name, but I know her somehow. I think she's been to SSK before. She's in Illinois. Oh, our other winner's in Illinois too, I think, or maybe Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana, yeah. So congratulations to our two winners, Jennifer and Sonic Freak. Thank you very much for being Patreon subscribers, and Laura and I are both really looking forward to when I move back and we can actually do fun things for our Patreon people. It's just, doing this cross country is really hard to do anything more than just a regular episode. So
let's set up a live podcast though for July while we're thinking about it.
Why don't we do that for the night before we leave for SSK?
Because you'll be here.
Because I'll be there and we'll be in the same room.
So we're gonna leave for SSK on the 19th.
Let me pull up my calendar.
That's the Tuesday before.
Oh, I'm in June.
So we will be here, both of us together, probably sweaty because we'll be putting together goodie bags. So delightful.
Yeah, so let's do the 18th.
Okay.
Time undecided as of just yet, but we'll decide it before next week's episode. So that way you'll have several weeks to sign up if you want to to join us at that point in time. So Monday, the 18th of July, we'll do a live podcast. We can show off some items relating to SSK if you want. We're not going to talk about goodie bags because our SSK people get first dibs at that.
Yep. Well, we want it to be a surprise for them.
That's
not that
the
it's
goal.
First dibs, but
yeah. Sorry, my brain shuts off when my mouth opens sometimes.
But maybe we'll show off some cool stuff that we got for the try it on room, and we'll just talk about fun stuff.
We'll think of
Fun
something
products.
awesome. Or you guys can suggest a title for us to talk about. I'm totally
definitely
open to that. We always like seeing what you guys are making as well. That's really what makes it worth it for me, because I get to see you guys and your environment and what you're making and your favorite thing you've done recently, and it makes me feel less like a crazy person talking to a screen. So
you're talking to me, but yeah.
Still. So I think that's it. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that's it for me as well.
Let me look at the show notes. Yep, that's it. So you guys have a great week, and we will talk to you next weekend.
Bye, y'all.